say that some roads carry more than shadows. In the quiet countryside of Massachusetts, there is a dirt path that locals call Midnight Hollow. Few walk there after dark, fewer still return the same. The story begins in the late 1800s. A woman named Eliza Blackthorne lived at the edge of the woods, known to the villagers as a healer. But when several children died of fever, whispers spread that Eliza had poisoned them with her herbs. Fear turned into rage, and one cold October night, the villagers dragged her from her home. They accused her of witchcraft. They bound her hands, placed a noose around her neck, and hanged her from the twisted oak at the center of Midnight Hollow as she died. She cursed them with her last breath. When the moon bleeds red, my shadow will walk again, and those who wronged me will never sleep in peace. The villagers buried her beneath that oak tree, but the curse remained over the years. Stories of strange encounters filled the town. Travelers spoke of a woman in a black dress walking the road at midnight, her face hidden beneath a veil, her steps silent on the dirt. Some claimed to hear the creak of a rope in the wind, even when the night was still. In 1972, a group of teenagers dared each other to walk down Midnight Hollow during a full moon. They laughed, drank, and shouted into the trees. Only 4 of the 5 returned. The last boy was found the next morning, lying beneath the oak, his eyes wide open, his lips twisted in silent terror. No wounds, no struggle, just fear carved into his face. Since then, the police refused to patrol that road at night. Too many unexplained accidents, too many officers quitting after one shift. Local legend says that if you stand beneath the oak tree at midnight and whisper Eliza's name 3 times, you will hear her last words echo back from the shadows. Some hear a woman weeping. Others hear the rope tightening. And a few never hear anything at all, because they never come back. So if you ever find yourself near Midnight Hollow, remember this. When the clock strikes 12, keep moving. Don't look into the trees. Don't listen for the creak of the rope. Because the Midnight Witch still waits. And she never forgets a name. In a small New England town stands a farmhouse that no one has lived in for decades. The paint is peeling, the windows shattered, and the grass grows taller every year. But locals say the house is not empty. They call it the Demon House of Carver Road. The story began in 1949 when the Miller family bought the property. At first, it was peaceful. The father worked the land, the mother tended the home, and their 2 children played in the wide fields. But everything changed when they discovered the cellar door. It was hidden beneath rotten planks in the barn. Old, rusted hinges groaned as they pulled it open, revealing a narrow stairway leading down into darkness. They thought it was just an old storage room. But soon, The children began waking at night, screaming about a man with burning eyes standing at the foot of their beds. The mother heard whispers in the walls, voices that didn't belong to anyone in the house. Pots fell from shelves, doors slammed shut, and the smell of sulfur filled the rooms. The father, desperate to protect his family, asked the local priest for help. The priest descended into the cellar alone. Witnesses said he stayed below for nearly an hour. When he emerged, his hands were shaking, his face pale as chalk. All he said was, "Seal it, seal it, and never open it again." But it was too late. That very night, the youngest child vanished from her bed. They searched the fields, the woods, the roads, nothing. Only one thing was found. The cellar door stood wide open, the old hinges twisted as if something had forced its way out. The family fled the farmhouse, never to return. But neighbors reported strange things for years afterward. Animals found dead in the fields, their bodies untouched but eyes burned black. Shadows moving in the windows though the house was empty. Teenagers still dare each other to go inside. Most come out laughing, but some come out pale, refusing to speak of what they saw. And a few never come out at all. They say the cellar is still there beneath the collapsed barn. And if you're brave enough to open that door, you'll hear scratching from below, claws on stone, waiting for someone to listen. The locals have a warning. Don't go near the cellar on Carver Road, because what lives down there doesn't want to be found. It wants to be free.
There are roads that lead somewhere, and there are roads that lead nowhere. In the rural South, there's a stretch of highway where people whisper about a figure known only as the Shadow Man. Truck drivers say the first time you see him, he's just a shape in the distance, standing at the crossroads where the old church once burned down, always at night. Always when the fog is thick. One driver in the early 1980s told his story. He was hauling lumber past midnight when he spotted a tall man in the middle of the road, no flashlight, no car, just standing there. The driver honked, slammed the brakes, but when the truck came to a stop, the man was gone. No footprints. No sound. Over the years, more reports came. A woman walking home saw the same figure, tall, featureless, with eyes glowing faintly red. She turned to run, but the crossroads seemed to stretch endlessly, every step taking her nowhere. When she finally made it home, the soles of her shoes were burned black. Local legend says the Shadow Man is older than the town itself. Some believe he is the spirit of a preacher who cursed God after his church burned down with his family trapped inside. Others say he is no man at all, but a demon bound to the crossroads, feeding on lost souls.
The rules are always the same.
If you see him once, he is watching.
If you see him twice, he is closer.
And if you see him 3 times, it's already too late. In 2009, a group of college kids drove out to test the legend. They parked their car at the crossroads just before midnight. They laughed, filmed with their phones, called out into the fog. Only one phone was ever recovered on the recording. You hear laughter at first, then silence. Then in the static, a low voice whispers, "You shouldn't be here." The next morning, their car was found abandoned, doors wide open, engine still running. But the students were gone, no tracks, no signs of struggle. Just empty seats at the crossroads. If you ever find yourself on Highway 19 when the fog rolls in, remember this. Do not stop, do not look, and never ever count the times you see him. Because the Shadow Man waits at the crossroads. And he always collects what is owed. In a forgotten roadside motel off the interstate stands a row of broken doors and flickering neon. Most rooms are locked, boarded up, or filled with mold. But the locals will tell you,
Never, ever spend the night in room 6.
the motel was built in the 1960s back then. Travelers stopped for gas, cheap beds, and coffee before heading back to the highway. For a while, it was ordinary, until one family checked into.
Room 6.
It was July 1971, a husband, wife, and their young daughter. They never checked out. The maid found the door wide open the next morning, sheets torn from the bed, and the bathroom mirror shattered.
But the family was gone. No bodies, no trace. Just the smell of smoke that lingered for weeks.
The motel owner tried to repaint, to clean, to rent the room again. But every guest who stayed there complained of the same thing. Voices at night.
They weren't coming from outside. They came from inside the walls.
Whispers, murmurs, sometimes a child crying, sometimes a man shouting in rage. One guest claimed she woke to find the mirror writing back to her. Words appeared in the fog.
Get out.
Another said he heard footsteps pacing above the ceiling, though the motel had no second floor. By the 1980s, the motel had a reputation. Teenagers dared each other to break in. Some said they heard laughter when they opened the door. Others swore the sheets moved as if someone invisible was still lying in the bed. In 1999, a drifter set fire to the room, hoping to burn out whatever lived there. Firefighters arrived in time to stop the blaze. Everything inside was charred black.
Everything but the door. The door to room 6 never burned.
Today, the motel stands empty, but the door is still there, locked tight with chains. If you press your ear against it, some say you can hear the voices still. And if you stay too long, those voices begin to call you by name. So if you ever find yourself on a dark highway and you see a crumbling motel with a broken neon sign, keep driving.
Because room 6 is waiting, and it never lets anyone leave.